Hello, friends. What is that weird thing I'm seeing right there? I don't know what that is. Okay. My husband's going to be mad because this is not centered or something. I'm doing it wrong. And the lighting is bad today. What's happening? We're going to talk about men tonight. Are y'all excited? I know you're excited. I know you can hardly wait. Okay, somebody comment just to make sure I am seeing comments. Oh, there you are. Hi. Okay, I'm seeing comments. Good. He's going to be all mad that it's not centered. Y'all watch. Okay, so you're wondering what I'm doing here. I know it's not going to be me, really. I mean, I might be here, but not really. I am going to start tonight, though. So if your men are not on, this would be the time to do the elbow nudge or like the little, hey, babe, like, hey, babe.
I want to give you a kiss upstairs in my room.
I'm going to put you to bed in your room. Are you ready to go night-night?
Yeah, but Daddy keeps praying with me.
Daddy prayed with you last night.
And keep brushing my... I want you to brush my teeth and pray with me.
I will brush your teeth and pray with you, okay? But give Mama like 5 minutes, and then I'll brush your teeth and pray with you. Okay? We have kids. A lot of them. So I'm going to start out tonight. We are talking all about men. Get excited. But we do want your men here. So if they're here, that's fantastic. So a couple things. We are giving away 2 gift cards to a guy tonight. So what we need to do, what we need you to do is preferably, if your husband has his own Facebook account, if they will log in from their account and watch, that will be perfect. What we need you to do to be entered into the drawing, and it's only the men get to win. I'm sorry, ladies. We should do a drawing for the women soon because we've never done that. But what you need to do to be entered in the drawing, men, is comment with your name and where you are from, and that will enter you into the drawing, okay? So that is how we're going to do that. We will mention it later on as well. So tonight we are talking all about men, what it looks like to have your man involved in this business, why, if you are a man, you should be involved in this business, because right now you might be thinking, if my husband only makes $100 a month, what is the point of me being involved? There's much more to it than that, I promise you. So, and if your husband, this is being recorded, so if your husband can watch it later, that's super cool. They just don't get to win. That's okay. But those of you that are on live, you get a chance to win. So, here we go. I'm going to start very quickly. We're going to talk for just a few minutes about some of the ways that we struggled early on, just for the next 5 minutes or so. So when my husband first started getting more involved in our business, I was, hold on, that's got to be on quiet. I had a hard time letting him in. And that's one of the ways that we really struggled, is I felt like I had built up my business and it was my business and it was just the thing that I had done. And so when we got to a place where he quit his job so he could do this full time, I just struggled on how to have him help me. And honestly, the longer that he's been helping me, the better my business has been, because he brings a perspective to my business that I don't have without him. His mind works differently than mine, and there's beauty in that. And he's been able to push me and challenge me and help me rethink things and do things in different ways, kind of outside of the norm, that have really helped my business grow over the years. So as you look at letting your spouse in, because maybe after this video, they might look at you and say, hey, I do want to help. What can I help with? How can I help? So as you think about letting him in a little bit more, because you may be saying, oh, I'd love for him to be more supportive. I would love for him to help. But really, what are you willing to let go of? And when asking yourself, what am I willing to let go of, you need to ask yourself, what are the things that I really do want my touch on? So Brian and I would both agree that there are things in my business that need my touch, that need a woman's touch, that need my leadership, that need what I have to bring to the table. There's other things in our business that his touch has been able to absolutely change and make better. But I had to be willing, first of all, to let some of that stuff go. So as you are thinking about all those things, I would make a list. Here's the things that I think really need to be me. Always need to be me most of the time, and here's why. And talk about that with your spouse. And then make a list of other things that don't need to be you. Your husband can make deliveries. Your husband can do so much, and he can do so much more than you think he can. And Brian's going to talk a lot tonight about, one, why your spouse should be vested in the first place and what potential this business really has, and just the nuts and bolts of what that means and what that looks like. That there's kind of just a few major things, not major, but just main things that you need to do to grow this business exponentially, and Brian's going to talk about that tonight. But also just think about other ways that he can invest in your, not invest in it, but other ways that, what are the things that he can add to your plate? Not add to your plate, I'm saying all the wrong things. What are things that he can put fresh eyes on? So a lot of times we just need our spouse too to say, tell me about your goals. And I think Brian will talk a little bit about this, but even sitting down as a team and saying, what are you working towards? How can I help you get there? What's the goal here? So that you're on the same page and you're working towards the same things, and your husband understands that, okay? So then think about where you're gonna let him in. Think about his strengths. What are the things that he could bring to your business that you're not good at, that he may be good at? Brian is a really great extrovert. And by great, I just mean he's an extrovert. He's just an extrovert. He gets his energy from people. He gets his energy from being around people. He's a great conversationalist. He's really good at building connections with people. One of the best I've ever seen in my life. He can find a connection with people in a so short amount of time. It's amazing. It's not my strength. It is his strength. And so we use that a lot to our advantage. We know which one of us has which strengths, and we utilize those. We have to know where we're going, what our starting point is to know where we're going. And so when you know what your strengths are, what your spouse's strengths are, you can use that to the best advantage in your business. When I'm going to give an example of this, when I first kind of let Brian in, we were doing this business together. We had to build up some trust in business. I had to really let him in. I had to tell him what I was doing, and he kind of had to hold me accountable. That was hard because I had always done this on my own. It had been my thing. I didn't really have to answer to anybody about any of it, but he really made me make some tough decisions and say, is that really the smartest thing? Is that the most efficient thing? Is there a better way to do it? And that was really good for my business. It was difficult sometimes, but it was really good for my business. But for instance, there was a season right after our third baby was born, the one you just saw. We have 4, but after our third baby was born, we were actually at Cincy's Superstar Director Summit in Boise, and we heard from one of our really great friends, Melissa Gratz, who was talking about this program she was doing. It was this leadership development program, and it was like I don't even remember, like a 3-month thing. I can't remember how long it was even. But she kind of laid out this whole thing, what she was doing, and Brian heard her talk about it, and I was like, and he was on fire. He was like, we have to do this. And I was like, I cannot do that right now. Like, I had a newborn baby. I was just thinking, there's no way. It's beyond my capacity right now, just because of the season I was in as a mom. And he said, well, what if I did it? And I said, well, I think that'd be a great idea. And we started talking through it. I'm like, do you think you could do that? Like, let's brainstorm. Like, what content would you share? Like, how would you do that? And so he led this amazing group of women through this program for months and months at a time called LTC, Leadership Training Course. I think that's what it's called, babe. See, I don't even remember because it was his thing. It wasn't really even my thing. He did it. He led through it. And it was something that it was probably one of the very first times that I really let him take some ownership. And I just stepped back and said, go. Do it. Because I was just in a season of my business where I was being mom, I had a newborn baby, and he was the one committed to and willing to take that step and say, I can do this. I want to help. And he has such different vision. Heather says, I remember Heather was in that first, weren't you in that first group, Heather? I think Heather Pratt was in that first group of LTC graduates. He led that whole group, and he did it. He made every video. He did every challenge. He did all of it. And it was really cool to see him empower those women, remind them what they were capable of. Even just for me, just a different set of eyes. It was really cool to watch him do that. So there are amazing things that your spouse can do. And I know a lot of the struggle sometimes is really getting your spouse on board first, because some of you, let's be honest, are dabbling. You're playing around. Some of you are spending more time on this than what you're making. And there is a season for that, especially if you're doing the right tasks. There's absolutely a season where there is kind of a hustle. There is kind of a push to really build. Brian's going to talk about that in just a minute, about how you have to kind of put forth the time and the consistency to really build a business that long-term builds exponentially. It has that compound effect that grows into something that literally can sustain your family, which is, it sounds crazy, but it's actually really, really doable. And it's much more doable if the two of you have the same vision and you have the same purpose moving forward in this business. It does not mean that your spouse has to have his hands in every single thing. It doesn't mean he has to sell candles. It doesn't mean any of that. It means that you guys have a combined vision of where this is going. And as a business pair, you are holding each other accountable. So he's holding you accountable to the things you say you're going to do. And I know, women, for some of you, that's hard, and you have to build that trust. But it's amazing what our spouses can do for us. So spouses, I don't mean that in a condescending way, like that you would come to her in a condescending way saying, you said you're going to get 3 recruits this month and you didn't do it. No, it's just you being there for accountability and saying, hey, let's talk about what happened. You know, we kind of had some people in the line. You had some really great conversations with people about joining our team. What happened? How can we do better? How can I help you when it comes to recruiting? Are we not reaching the right people? All of those things. So this is, as you come together as a team in your business, this is really a conversation. It's a conversation around building a business together. And I think that's what's really important. Hey, babe, I'm just kind of talking until you come because I'm kind of done. So I'm just waiting for him to come. I think he's filling up a cup of ice, or one of my kids is doing that. So here's another thing. While I'm waiting for him, he's going to take over. But women, that kind of is for you. It's hard for you to let go of some things, and it's hard for sometimes you to have another set of eyes on your business when someone's there to hold you accountable. Hey, when you said you were working for a couple hours the other day, what did you actually do? Were you on social media the whole time, or were you building up your team? Were you having those conversations about the opportunity? Were you booking parties? What were you actually doing? Sometimes we don't want that accountability, but it's a really good thing to have. It's a good thing for your spouse to give you. So let him in, and let him have some say in ways that you can do things better. Their eyes and their perspectives have so much to offer us in our businesses. And I promise you, when you guys can get on the same page and you can see a vision together, that your business will grow and be so much healthier and fuller. For sure, all the days long. So as I'm waiting on him, he just walked in and then he left. I don't know what happened. A couple things. Again, if you're just joining us, you can enter to win our drawing by typing your name and where you're from. If you are a man, only the men on live get to win. We'll draw at the end.
They can sign up through their wives too, because
someone
said my wife doesn't have social media.
Yeah, if your husband doesn't have social media, let's do the honor system, and you want to say you're put your name on my wife's account. That's fine. Also, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go put our babies to bed. 3 of the 4. The one's in sleep. We got 3 to go. And he's going to take over content-wise, talking to the men and to the ladies. But as you're going, if you have questions, how do you want them to submit questions? The best way.
Message me on Facebook.
Message you or message me.
No, message me, because my phone's in there signed in. If you sign into your Facebook, this will come.
No, I can look at my messenger on this.
You can do it in here and there. It's signed in there. And
I thought you wanted me to sit in here with you.
Make a decision.
Okay. But I don't know if they all know your name. So
send a message.
Send either me a message or Brian Dalkey. So our last name is Dalke.
Just send Allison a message.
But they don't all know my name either. So that's the thing. No, we're on online steps.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
It's not connected to me. So Allison Dalkey or Brian Dalkey, send either one of us a message. That's how you can submit questions. I'm going to take the best questions, hand them to him at the end, and we're going to go from there.
Yep.
So, here you go.
Yeah, she went 6 minutes long, but it's okay.
Because I was waiting on you. I didn't know am I supposed to get up and walk away?
No, you're supposed to just say, hey, let's go.
Okay.
All right. Hey, guys. I'm not being rude to her. That's just how we communicate with each other.
He's a little nervous. He's kind of being rude.
No, I'm not nervous, but I took on a lot today, and my wife wasn't feeling good this morning, so I took on a lot this morning, and then this evening, a good friend of ours was leading a prayer night at church, and I wanted her to go take part in that. So while I should have been prepping for all of this today, I was running around helping with kids and doing a bunch of things. But that's just what good husbands do and good business partners. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. If you guys know me well, you know I need everything symmetrical. So bam, there you go. Okay. All right, guys. So what I'm going to be talking about is a few different things. I will be talking to husbands because that is the experience that I have. I am a husband, but do not feel ostracized if you are single, if you are a significant other, if you're a guy that's a consultant. Hopefully you can take some things away that will still work well with your business that you can put into your business. Or if you do have a significant other, husband, or whatever that's not watching, it might give you some good ideas on different ways you can communicate with them that work well. So I will start off by telling you guys who I am. If you don't know, my name is Brian Dahlke. I am the lesser half of the amazing Allison Dahlke. And I just want to tell you guys to start off, I'm going to have to move over. It's not centered. I just have to start off by saying, guys, my wife's incredible. A lot of you know, especially if you're a consultant on our team, she is beyond amazing. But she wasn't always that way when it came to her business. Her business was something that she's gotten better at over time. And so just understand that if you're not perfect right now, if you're not Allison Dahlke, it's okay. She didn't used to be either. Her name was. But as a consultant, she wasn't. Truly, and I can say this honestly, not arrogantly or anything, but we made each other better when I truly came on board. And I know that we are where we are today, mostly because of her, but partly also because of me. So, it's life that she speaks into me every day. It's part of the reason I wake up every day and work hard, and because I know I do have a small piece in it, and I know that we make each other better. So, again, my name is Brian Dahlke. We live in Edmond, Oklahoma. We have been with Cincy 10 years. I've been fully on board about 8 of those years, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. We have 4 beautiful kids. Addison's 10, Luke's 8, Wyatt is 5, and Lucy is 2. And we have a great life. We have an incredible church. We have incredible friends. We have an incredible business. We have a really great marriage, great relationship. But that has not always been the case. I will not get into too much of our personal history on here. We'll save that for another night. We have talked about that in other videos. But just know, we never try to misrepresent ourselves on social media. We never try to be perfect. We never try. You can go back and look at Allie's history, and we've gone through seasons where it's been like this. But we are in a really good place right now. We've finally figured out how to make each other a priority and how to properly build on our platform of, God first, marriage second, kids third, and then all the other things set, after that. And it was hard to do, but now that we've done it, I feel like we're really in the groove. And so that's a big passion of ours. You'll hear us talk about that other times in other places. But let's jump into how you guys are going to help in your wives' businesses. Now, again, I will refer to that the whole time, husbands, wives. I apologize in advance if that doesn't apply to you, but still listen. You know what I mean, and you know where my heart's at. Okay, first of all, I want to say this is all we do full time, Allison and I. Again, not always the case, but Cincy is a business that has become our thing. It's all we do full time. It is a very legitimate business. One thing I want to talk about to the guys, this is a conversation I have very often with other husbands. Cincy is absolutely a legitimate business. It is a direct sales business, which means direct to the consumer. We have no storefront. We have no personal warehouse or office or anything like that. But it is absolutely a legitimate business. Pyramid scheme, the term pyramid scheme has been around in whatever language it was translated in for a long, long time, longer than any of us have been around. And where that comes from, the way it was explained to me by my economics professor, he would say, one person tells 10 people, hey, I'm going to teach you how to make $10,000. And he says, but you got to pay me $1,000 for me to tell you. 10 people give him $1,000. He walks away with 10 grand and just tells them, go tell 10 more people that you're going to make them $10,000, but they have to give you $1,000. So on and so forth. Exponentially, it keeps going. Well, eventually, the pool runs out, right? And that's where the term pyramid scheme got its term. It was a real thing for a long, long time. In today's world, it's a real thing. It's called a lot of different things, but it is a real thing. Direct sales is not a pyramid scheme. I don't even like the term multi-level marketing because there are multi-level marketing companies out there that do base their pay scale on if somebody signs up, you get a big chunk of their sign up, or you get all of their sign up, even though they haven't sold any products yet. that's basically a pyramid scheme. That a lot of those companies fall under the term multi-level marketing, but unless they're a member of the Direct Sales Association, I have to really take a close look at a company before I believe them to be legitimate. Scentsi's a member of the Direct Selling Association, along with Avon and Mary Kay and Pampered Chef and a lot of the really, really big direct sales companies. And a lot of them are very tenured, very legitimate. They have lots and lots of people making lots and lots of money. So it is absolutely legitimate. The way I describe it to people, and this is good sometimes for husbands to use, and y'all are welcome to use this. I was in the car business for 8 years, and what I tell people is when I was in the car business, if I sold a car, I got 25% off, or I got 25% of the net of the car. So if we made $5,000, I got 25%, I got $1,250. My sales manager then made 8% off the sale of that car. My general sales manager, because he was over multiple dealerships, got about 5% off the net sale of that car. And then there were other little things that got small percentages, and then the owner got what was left. Scentsy is the exact same way. As a consultant, you are going to earn 25 to 30%, 20 to 25 to 30% off of your product sales. And then once you get certified, you guys know that. We'll explain that another time. But after that, your upline gets a little bit, their upline gets a little bit, the company gets the rest of it. And so it's an absolute legitimate business. There's nothing about it that's weird or shaky or anything. It's not something that pays 25 levels down and you've got to have one arm stronger than the other, any of that. No, it's just when you sign people up, you're then going to get a small percentage of their sales depending on what rank you are and what rank they are. And then it goes down basically 3 generations. And then after that, the rest of that pool of money goes to the corporate office where they make enough to keep everything running, to keep all of our workstations great, new software, they own all their own servers. It's a very legitimate business. Again, from the business standpoint, Scentsy is a very cash-heavy company. This will speak to some business guys out there. So Scentsy, their only debt is on a portion of their facility, their production facility in their main campus. They don't have any huge outstanding business debt, any massive loans that they've taken for new production or new products. They strictly have real estate debt, and it's not near the value of the real estate they have. So it's a very, very solid company. Scentsy could drop sales by 50% tomorrow, and infrastructurally they would be okay. No company can drop in half overnight and be great, but they would survive and they would come out of it. Plus, they have so many great products in the works and things that are being announced. They're going to continue to grow for years to come. They're going to do almost $500 million in sales this year, which is absolutely massive. Only maybe 0.1% of companies ever get to even close to that. So just know it is a very, very legitimate company. And there is really great income potential. There are hundreds and hundreds of consultants making life-changing money. Maybe thousands, really probably thousands of consultants making life-changing money. And I consider life-changing money, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10,000 a month. There are some making $40, $50, $60, $70,000 a month. But just know that this is an absolute legitimate business. And as I walk you through this, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on ways that you guys can be looking to the future and goal setting to work together as business partners to try to make this as great as it could possibly be. All right, so I'm going to hit on a couple different things here. I'm actually going to shoot a short video after this one just so this information doesn't get lost. But I'm actually going to go through a list of tips and tricks on how to help your wife in her business. I will touch on it here, but I'm not going to talk about all of it. I just don't want to take up a lot of time on this video. So what I'm going to call this is the path to partnering for success. Partner being the key word. In a lot of people's business, it's the wife's thing, right? It's her thing. I don't really mess with it. I go to work. I work 60 hours a week. I don't need to mess with it. I can appreciate that. I've been there. But truly, for not only your business to run as good as it possibly can, you need to be able to know that you do have a part to play in it. And that doesn't mean that you're going to host Scentsy parties necessarily, but it does mean that there's lots of things that you can do to encourage your wife, to help out in certain areas. And we'll walk through those a little bit. So this path to partnering for success, actually, before I get started, let me remind people that have signed in or their husbands are signed in. If you're a guy and you're watching, you're a husband and you're watching, or you're a significant other and you're watching, just write your name, first and last, dash, the state or city and state that you live in, And that's how you're going to register yourself for the drawing at the end. We're going to give away $200 gift cards to anywhere you want it. So if you win and you want an Academy, Bass Pro, Cabela's, Walmart, JCPenney, I don't care where it is, I'm going to buy you a $100 gift card to those places. We're going to do this for 2 people. We were trying to decide how we were going to do it, and if we were going to do like every 25 or 30 people, we were going to do $100, but it was going to get so complicated. My wife's in the other room, you know, doing all the drawing slips and all of that. And so just to make it easy, we were worried we might not have enough people to even do one, or we might have a whole lot and we might go broke. So we'll just do $200 gift cards if you watch this video. And then you can send questions to Allison Dalkey's Facebook or Brian Dalkey, BrianDalke. Also friend me on Facebook, and you can stay connected with me that way. All right, so the path to partnering for success. Excuse me. Okay, the path to partnering for success. The first key is you have to earn your wife's business trust. Now, I say business trust because depending on where you're at in your marriage, you and your wife probably trust each other a lot already. Hopefully. I will pray that that is the case. A strong marriage foundation is really important for all the rest of these steps, so let's make sure that's there first. But business trust is different than personal trust. 2 of my best friends, I love them as much as a guy can love another guy, and I wouldn't trust one of them in business. So not that he's a bad guy, not that there's anything wrong with him, he just doesn't have a lot of business experience. And so, but I trust him in about everything else, and I would value his opinion, but business trust is different than just trust in general. So since he is, for a lot of you right now, your wife's business, and that's okay. That's exactly how ours started, and it's now both of our business, but it absolutely started that way. The great thing about that is your wife has, no matter whether she's a certified consultant or a star director or superstar director, your wife has already figured some things out, some things that she's good at, some things she's comfortable at, maybe some things she's not comfortable at. And so your wife's already kind of set that foundation for what your all's long-term business is going to be built on. But to earn her business trust, here's a few things you can do. One, the tips and tricks video that I'm going to do after this, I'm going to give you guys a list of about 10 different things that you can do. I'm just going to kind of hit on them really quick, but things you can do to kind of earn your wife's trust. The reason I don't put that in this video, for one, if I do it right here in the middle, it'll get lost. And 2, my job is not to tell you what you're good at or what you're going to be good at in your wife's business. You guys kind of need to figure that out together. I will give you a list of kind of starting points on you guys having conversation about these things, but truly you guys know each other hopefully well enough by now. You know what you're good at. She knows what she's good at, and vice versa. You guys should be able to work through some of these things together. But with that list of tips and tricks, I think it's really important for you guys to have an initial business meeting. Now, this sounds silly, but hear me out. So it's your wife's business, like we talked about. If you were and some of you might be, but if you're a consultant going into another business to help consult about maybe how they're doing sales or how they're doing promotions or how they're doing advertising or marketing or whatever it might be, you would go in, kind of look at everything, write some notes down, figure out what they're doing really well, what they could do better, and then you're going to sit down with either the owner, the manager, general manager, whoever, kind of go through what you've seen. But in order for them to take your opinion at all, you need to be credible. So the key that you guys have that a lot of consultants walking into businesses don't have is you guys are married or you're in a relationship, so there's already some trust there. But this first initial business meeting is so, so important because I want you guys to understand that, and your wives to understand, that this is business. It's not personal, it's business. So it was really hard for Allie and I early on. Sometimes in this business, you have to make hard decisions. She would have 3 people want to book a party in the same weekend, and she can only do 2 at most. And so sometimes you have to make a phone call and say, hey, I can't do it that weekend. And you have to listen to the whole, but that's my only good weekend, and I know, but I can't. Because if you start to stretch yourself too thin, you can't. Well, Allie early on would say yes to everything. And she had people in her downline that weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing, and she would just do it for them. And there was just one thing on top of another that, coming from the car business, the business world, I would sit there and go, honey, this is not personal, it's business. If you can't do this party, just tell them I can't do it right now, but I will find another spot when you can. It's a business decision. She'll handle it great. And, oh, I just can't do that. She's one of my friends. Honey, you can do that. Same thing with downline. Well, she just doesn't have time to do it, so I'll just do it for her. No, honey. long term, she needs to either learn how to do it, because if you do it forever, then you're going to be continuing to do it forever, and she will not grow that way. You need to lead a horse to water, but you can't always make them drink. And so you can teach someone to fish better than handing them a fish every day, right? So that was kind of the idea. Same thing in this. Lead. One of the things that I've done in our relationship and in our business relationship is Allie lets me lead. She, sometimes with as stubborn of an attitude as you've ever seen, will fight me on the way that I lead, but she does a lot of times stand back and say, I want you to lead through this. And I'll say, okay, and we usually talk about it and make the decision together. But talk to your wife and just say, hey, let's have a business meeting. There's some things that I see you doing that you're doing excellent at, and I want to praise you for that. But there's some things that I see that maybe we could change, and just hear me, let me walk through that out loud, and then let her speak into it as well and say, well, no, I'm not going to do that thing you want me to do because I just don't think there's a value there. Or I think that's great, but I don't feel like I can do that. And then those kinds of things will allow you in a little bit, maybe to speak in or maybe to take over a part of her business. So have a business meeting. But remember, it's not personal, so there's no judgment. You can even have a start time and an end time, so that way when it's over, you guys can talk as a married couple, and she can complain about this awful consultant that came in today and tried to talk about her business. And you can complain about this stubborn business owner that you had to meet with today and talk about how they didn't want to change anything, even though it's not all working. So that would even be fun if y'all did it that way. But have a business meeting. That way you can kind of see where her thoughts are. And it's not husband to wife, it's business person to business person. Like, tell me about your business. As you start to do those things, so when she allows you to begin to speak in, when she, through the tips and tricks that we'll go over later, as you start to do little things like, handing out some join brochures to your buddies, and because their wives, work from home and they've thought about, or are stay-at-home moms and they've thought about doing something, you talk to them how great it's been for you guys, or, even if it's just saying, honey, I heard about you talking about that meeting that you want to go to, or that Cincy party that you want to book, and I heard you say that it's my poker night, or you didn't want to burden me with watching the kids that night. I love our babies. Let me watch them that night. You go do your thing. So as you start to do little things to earn her business trust, she will start to let you in a little bit more. She'll start to let you speak into situations. She'll ask you for your advice. Hey, I've got these 2 leaders that aren't doing very much. What should I do? Those kinds of things start happening. And then as you start to work together and that trust is built, your input becomes more and more and more valuable. So I know that we don't always, as husbands, want to feel like we have another job. But if you're truly working together, it's honestly a way for you guys to spend quality time together. Allie and I had a work lunch today, and we had a work coffee after that. And it was really good just to hang out with my wife for 2.5 hours, even though a lot of the conversation we were talking about was this video, a marriage retreat we're leading this weekend, another marriage retreat we're leading in March, and all these other things. But it's really good. Like, I fell in love with my wife when we were young and kind of dumb and poor and all of these things. And sometimes we forget why we initially fell in love. We just like spending time together. We didn't have money to do anything else. But as we've gotten kind of in this groove where we're business partners and we honor each other's opinion and there's no stupid idea. Sometimes I say, hey, there's no stupid idea. There's stupid people with ideas. But no, that's a joke. Nate, you can use that if you want to. But we just have a really good time together, and we get a lot out of that time, and we are very productive in that time. We bounce ideas off each other. She comes up with an idea, I come up with a different one. We figure out the middle. And so as that starts to happen more and more, you feel more valued as a business partner and as a husband because she's allowing you into her business. So all the while, you've gone from your wife having this little business to all of a sudden you're along the way becoming business partners, building your business with the 3 core principles that we'll talk about in a little bit, but are selling product, building a team, and empowering leaders. As you're allowed into this, it really does open up a whole nother area where you can feel valued as a man and feel respected, which are probably the 2 number 1 things as men that we need to feel in our life. We need to be valued. We need to feel like there's an area in our life that we're working toward where our opinion is valuable, our voice is heard. Those are things that, I'm not trying to be a therapist, but those are just things that we do need in our lives. And then the respect piece, absolutely biblical, women are called to respect their husbands, not in a anti-feminist way, not in a fascist way, but men almost crave respect more than they do love. Women are the opposite. Women need to be loved. They need to be adored. They need to be treated like princesses. Again, not in an anti-feminist way, but just the way biblically we are called to react and to show love and to receive love. That's just what it is. And as you guys are working together better and better and better, those things will absolutely kind of begin to happen. Now, all of that being said, it took us probably 8 years to get to where, I know it took us 8 years to get to where we are now from where we started. We started early on. I thought I knew a lot more than she did. We had some throwdowns about that, business-wise, customer follow-up, sales, upsells, things like that. She just wasn't good at, and she'll tell you she wasn't good at them. But she didn't want to be a pushy salesperson, and that's how she looked at it. I looked at it as being inefficient. So we had all these headbutt moments early on, and through me finding ways to help her business that she either didn't have time to do or didn't think she was good at, I was able to slowly earn her business trust. And then once she realized that this was really important to me too, and then I start to saw the legitimacy of the business long term, I really started to jump in. And that's where we've done husbands trainings like this, that LTC thing she was talking about that I did, all these other little tips and tricks that I'm trying so hard to not just vomit on you guys because I want to talk about all these. But again, I'll shoot a video afterward just titled Tips and Tricks for Husbands. But yeah, as that trust grows, you guys become so much better together than you ever will be apart. So the last thing, and then I'll have Allie come back in here and we'll do a Q&A, are the three main things that we have to be focused on, big picture, are these three simple things. And that is selling product, building a team, and empowering and training people, leaders. So one thing that in our business that I do a lot is Allison will come up with some ideas, or I'll come up with some ideas or whatever, and I'll say, is this helping us? Is this really helping us long term? You can measure it against all three of these things. Is this helping us sell product? Is it helping us build our team or recruit or promote people? Or is it helping us continue to train and empower the people that are in our company already or in our downline already? And when measured against any of those three things, if the answer is always no, then that's a time waster for the most part. There are some small things you can do to, try to inspire and, certain trainings and things. But as a whole, is this helping us sell more product or our team sell more product, helping us build a team or helping us train and empower people? And as you guys grow stronger together, because you guys aren't the same person, you'll have different perspectives, and that's okay. But the greatest thing about it is sometimes I'll have an idea that I think is a world beater. Like, this is going to change our business. I'll talk to Allie about it, and she'll bring me back down to earth and be like, honey, that's a great idea. I love your enthusiasm. I love all that, which that's important, guys and girls. Don't not hear any idea. Hear them all. Speak into the value that they would bring. But then if you have a different opinion, speak it. And then she would say, but honey, we don't have time to do that. And if we do that, we're going to miss out on this, this, and this. And those are more valuable. And I'll say, okay, I get it. So, but we can have those conversations now where they're not knockdown dragouts like they were 5 or 6 years ago. So the last thing on that, if you're doing those three things properly, you guys are focused on that together, and then you're doing the tips and tricks to help your business grow and to help your wife's business grow, there is exponential business growth in this, guys. I can speak from experience. It happened to us. We have tons of other people. There's some people that I've seen pop up on here that I know have experienced some of this as well. But we grew as much in our third year in our third year, we grew to about 5 times larger than it had taken us the first 2 years to grow. And in our fourth year, we grew another 385%. And in our fifth year, we grew another 300%. And so we started to hit that exponential growth phase where the sky was the limit. And it did cause some stress because when you're growing really fast, some things fall by the wayside that you really need to address. But there is a point where that hard work really starts to pay off exponentially. So just know, guys, from a husband to a husband, your wife's hard work is not, even though there are days where she's not making as much as she's working, long term, the potential in this is huge. And if anybody has any questions about that, you can message me personally. We can talk through that, or you can message Allie and I'll get back with you that way. But this is absolutely a legitimate business. It is built for the long term. This company is built for the long term. And by getting on board and helping your wife in any way that you can, or any way that you see valuable to your business, is going to do you both a huge favor long term. So that is all I have right now. Hopefully my wife is in the other room about to bring me some Q&A questions. And then if you guys have any questions that you want to post here, I cannot promise that we will see them, but I will absolutely try as good as I can, as well as I can. All right. I'll actually sign into hers here and see. Oh, there she is.
Here I come.
She's so cute. All right. What you got?
I don't know. What are you doing? I don't have anything.
What are the questions?
Oh, I haven't even looked at questions yet.
Okay. All right. So.
I don't know what you've talked about, so.
Nothing. I just need questions.
Okay, I'm looking at it.
All right. She's pulling it up. So, like I said, if you guys have any questions, you can add them to the comment section here. I cannot promise I will see them. But someone said I'm watching with my AKA husband, my partner. Put his name first and last, and state that he came from so he can be in the drawing. If you haven't already, you can only enter one time. So please only enter one time.
Okay, here's a good question for you.
Okay.
It says, was there a specific event that you found changed Brian's views on Scentsy?
Yes. So I will try to keep this short because it's a long story that's really great. I love the story, but I was at World Tour back. It's changed names a few times. It's back to World Tour.
Yeah.
But it was the first time Scentsy ever really went out and trained all across the country. And I took a long lunch from the car business. I was in my suit, drove down out to Midwest City. It's about a 40-minute drive from where I was working, 30-minute drive. And I wanted to meet this Orville guy. So the company was still fairly small at the time. He was the owner. I already had this weird tension because he's a guy that owns a company of women. How is he supposed to lead it properly? How is that going to work? Blah, blah, blah. So I walk in, I look over, I'm looking for guys. There's 3 or 4 guys in the room. I don't see, and I've never seen a picture of the guy. This is before his, face was kind of plastered on a lot of stuff and everyone knew him. And I look, next to me, there's this short, bald guy, chubby, holding a baby. That can't be him. I look over, all right, there's a kind of a tall, dark, and handsome guy. Maybe that's him, but he seems kind of disconnected. Hopefully that's not him. So I kind of go around the room and try to profile these people. And I think there's no way any of these guys in here own Scentsy. Well, Allie comes up. Allie had spoke on stage. I watched. We all clapped. She walks over and she goes, hey, I really want you to meet Orville. And I said, where? Thinking he's backstage. She goes, it's this guy right here. I said, this little bald guy holding this baby? That can't be him. And if Orville, if you're watching, you know what I meant. But I was like, there's no way that could be him. And so I go over and talk to him, and he was super congenial, super nice. And I said, hey, can we talk for a second? He said, yeah, absolutely. And I said, okay. At this point, it was beginning to be a pretty legitimate business. I think they had 20 or 30 million in sales that year, and so they were growing fast. And my worry was that he was going to get in, build it up, sell it, and all my wife's hard work was going to go down the drain. And next thing you know, we were going to be in every Walmart and Amazon and Hobby Lobby in the world, and they were no longer going to be a consultant-based business. So I just said, hey, what's keeping you from selling out to a big company, for 20 or 30 million dollars and just cashing the check and flying off into the sunset? And he was like, oh man, this is a heavy question. Can we talk outside? And I said, yeah, because we were in a busy room, lots of people. So we go up by the escalators in this building, and he basically just said, here's the thing. My wife and I for the last 10 years or more have struggled to find something that we love and something that we can pour our hearts and souls into, and that we found Scentsy and knew this could be it. And we've made a ton of promises to a ton of women just like your wife that we're not going to bail on this, that we're going to see this through until the very end, and we're going to do everything we can to make this thing work. And so because of those promises, he's like, it's not even about the money. He's like, we're making more money right now than we've ever made. We were broke when we started this. At the time, they were probably making $1 million a year or something in Scentsy. And so it's, funny perspective looking back. But he goes, it's not about the money anymore. We have more than we need. It's about all these promises and all these amazing women that are busting their tail, and we're not going to bail on them. And that was literally the moment. It had to come from a guy, I guess, because my wife had said the same thing. It just, not that I didn't trust her, it just coming from a guy and the owner and the mind behind all of it. I thought, okay, I'll get behind this. And so I did somewhat then. It took me a little while longer to do it, but all the way. But that was it. That was a moment where I was like, okay, if he's in it for the long haul, this seems legitimate. they're making money. They're not in a bunch of debt. Let's roll. Let's do this. And so that was kind of the day that I mentally decided not to necessarily be a supporter, but not to be a blocker. And it took probably another year after that for me to really fully support her in the business.
That's good, babe. Melvin wants to know, what are good ways to support her when I work 10 plus hours a day?
That's what I used to do. Yeah. Okay. So it obviously depends on what you do. Being in the car business, I had an office. I had multiple customers in that office every day. I had other men that I worked with, even some ladies that I worked with. And so what I did was, first, I always had Scentsy on my desk. I always had a current catalog. I always had stuff with my wife's name and face plastered all over, stickers on catalogs, things like that. So people would walk in and say, hey, what's that? What smells so good? I could hand them a catalog and say, call my wife. She put the worm in here. She knows the scent. Call her. She'll tell you all about it. And then every major holiday or gift-giving holiday, she would always package up 8 or 10 really pretty cellophane-wrapped Easter basket-looking thing with warmers and wax and room sprays and all of that, and put a price on each one, whatever the retail value was, plus her cost of the basket and all. And she would send those with me to work, you know, a week before Mother's Day or, you know, Valentine's Day or whatever. And so I would sell these things for $80, $85, $90 to all of my friends and coworkers because they were beautiful. They were wrapped. Your worst nightmare as a guy is getting to Valentine's Day the night before and not having anything. And that's usually when you spend a ton of money. You go out to a jewelry store and, you know, buy her a necklace or something. So all these men really appreciated these $100 or less gifts that I would bring that were wrapped beautifully, that looked very intentional and very, you know, their wife would really appreciate it. So I did that. And then another thing I did was, we made a deal with a lot of the other people that I worked with. Hey, if you'll have a warmer in your office and some of my wife's catalogs, we'll keep you supplied with wax. We'll provide the warmer. We'll keep you supplied with wax. Literally all you have to do is hand out her catalogs and say, hey, she's amazing. Call her. She'll help you in any way that she can. It's a pretty legitimate business now, and she's great. So just let her know. And so that was a way, it was just a lead generator basically for her to get new customers and some new consultants. And then all of my coworkers knew if they ever needed anything, I kept order forms in my desk, and if they came and said, hey, I need a 6-pack of bars and I need this one, this one, and this one, I'd fill it out real quick, put their name on it, bring it home, she'd order it, I'd bring it back to work, they'd give me money. And so I was kind of her sales guy in the field. But because depending on what you do, those things might not be an option. So watch the tips and tricks video after, and I'm going to go through some things that you can do without spending a lot of time to really help your wife.
Okay. Felicia says, how would you as a guy approach other guys about buying or selling Scentsy? So about the product or about the opportunity?
So kind of what I just talked about, first of all, you know, it's the best gift there is because we have a constantly changing catalog. There's no way someone's wife has every warmer in the catalog or every scent. So there's always a gift potential. As far as signing up to be a consultant, we have guy consultants in our team. Guys can be good at this. It's not something that's strictly women. There is more challenges sometimes, but honestly, when you show men the business side of it, the exponential growth, the guys that we've gotten was strictly looking at the business side of it and then thinking, I can do this. And then the goal being, you know, sell to your good friends, sell to your family, sign up some people, you know, get it growing like that, and then kind of figure out where you're at after a year. If you've got a really good team and you've got a good, you know, customer base that's buying from you regularly, then you can refigure out where your focus needs to be, just like all of your wives are doing right now. Like, do I need to be training more, selling more, recruiting more? What do I need to be doing? But there shouldn't be a lot of hang-ups, but you're going to have to, because there's so many great direct sales companies out there that cater more to men, it is a bigger obstacle, in all honesty, to get them to do Scentsy. But we have the infrastructure, we have the product, we have the R&D on the backside. We've got a great pay structure that's built for long-term success, not just short-term success. It's not real front-end heavy. And so there are a lot of guys that are like, you know what, I've got 4 sisters and 10 aunts, and they all love me and they'll all buy from me. I'm going to sign up. I'm going to get all the information in all their hands. I'm going to just start counting the orders as they come in and then see how many of them I can get to sign up and then start teaching them how to do this so I can grow a team long term. And that's kind of the approach I would take. Was there a second part of that question, or was that it?
That was it.
What are you doing?
I'm checking your messages.
Oh, okay.
I have another question for you, though.
Okay.
This is from Raina. I think that's how you say your name. Raina, I'm sorry if I butchered that. She says, I've appreciated watching the videos. Thanks for doing them. Her husband and her are watching from Ontario, Canada. She says, how can I bring my husband into this when he says he doesn't want to sell? She said, I respect that. I've never asked him to sell either, but how can he be a part of it if he doesn't want to actually sell product?
Okay, first off, props to Jimmy. Jimmy's a male consultant. He said it is a bit challenging sometimes, but I make it work. My sponsor is a huge help. Absolutely. All of those things I just said, he can probably attest to. Okay, so if your husband doesn't want to sell, I don't sell.
No, you don't sell.
I don't sell. I don't think I've ever really sold. What I do is, because here's the thing. I know the products fairly well. I know the catalog fairly well, even though the new catalog I don't know yet all the way. But I don't think she's so immersed in Scentsy. Even if I knew all the products, I couldn't sell it as well as she can. Because I'm a salesman. I want to upsell. I want to, why are you looking at that $30 thing? Look at this $60, this $130 thing. Do all that where it's not always about finding what is best for them. Sometimes I err on the side of finding what's best for me. So the good thing that I'm really good at, though, is talking to people. And I'm really good at handing out catalogs, handing out our business cards, talking about how it has changed our lives, even just from a scent perspective. Every time I walk in my house, it smells great, regardless of whether it's, I've been working out and I'm stinky, or a skunk just sprayed the dog, or whatever. You walk into our house, it smells good. And so just even telling somebody that has 3 boys that has a stinky house, like, hey, I know you got stinky boys. I got stinky boys too. The greatest thing about Scentsy is that every time I walk into my house, it smells like home should smell. It doesn't smell like sneaky boys. You should call my wife and get some Scentsy. Tell her I told you to call, and she'll throw in a free gift or something. And that can be a free bar or a free scent circle or something like that. You can do that and say that when it's person to person. You can't blast that out on social media. But person to person, you can say things like that. And that sometimes, just that personal touch of, it's my wife, it's not some random consultant that I'm sending you to. A lot more often than not, people will call her or will send her a text message. A lot of times when I see someone post on social media and say, oh my gosh, my, whatever company consultant is so great, here's her number, you should call her. The odds are no one's going to call them unless they really, really need that product right now. But when someone whose wife is a consultant for a certain company, I called a girl the other day that we're friends with about a product that Allie doesn't even use, but I wanted to try it. And so I said, hey, could you just send us some samples or whatever? All because I know her through somebody, because there's that personal connection. So you don't have to sell. You can, honestly, the biggest thing that you can do as a husband is just support and believe in your wife and tell her you want to help in any way that you can, except selling. And that can mean handing out catalogs at the grocery store whenever, like say I'm going to hand out one a day. You jump out and say, hey, my wife sells Scentsy and she challenged me to hand one of these out today, so I picked you. I apologize, and say you're welcome, and then hand it to them and walk away. So there's lots of things that you can do, but you don't have to be a salesperson. And again, watch the tips and tricks after this, and I'll talk about some of those things. And I don't think any of them have anything to do with selling. Yeah, they really don't.
Okay, so I want to say something that Sarah said in addition to what you were saying.
Okay. That
as a spouse, you're basically like her marketing manager or her spokesperson. So it's not even really that you're trying to sell as well. It's just that you're kind of her representative of, a great product and a great company.
Yeah, like her PR person.
Yeah, like her PR person. Okay, probably our last question. Taylor says, what advice would you give, and I'm going to apologize because I didn't hear the whole thing. I don't know if you already talked about this. What advice would you give those whose spouses show no interest at all in your business?
Well,
did you talk about...
I did talk about it a little bit, but here's the thing. If a spouse shows no interest in your business, how churchy do y'all want me to get?
I think you should just go.
All right, so here's what I'm thinking. If your husband does something that you have zero interest in, like your husband, I'm trying to think of the most boring thing I can. No, I won't even worry about that, because then if I say, now whatever I say, you guys are going to think it's awful if that's what your husband does. But let's say your husband does something you have no interest in. Let's say your husband is a trash collector for the city. Not the most awesome job, not what every kid wants to be as a kid, even though my son does because he loves trash trucks. But there's not a lot that you probably think you can show interest in. you can. Like, you can ask him how his day was. You can ask him how the people he works with are. You can ask him how the route went today. You can ask him, you can show interest in something.
It was JoJo. It's okay.
Oh, it's our
a
dog. You can show interest in something that maybe truly deep down you don't have a lot of interest in because you love the person that's doing those things. What I would tell any husband that shows no interest in Scentsy is, one, show interest in it because your wife shows interest in it. Ask her how she's doing. Ask her how her business is doing. Ask her how her upline is sponsoring. Ask her what training she's trying to attend or book she's reading to better herself. Those are all things that might make her business better, maybe not, but will definitely make your marriage better and your conversation better. And then on top of that, what I was going to say, and this is where I was saying, how churchy do you want me to get? If your spouse truly looks at you and says, I have no interest, don't bother me with it, there's a deeper issue.
Yeah.
That's not a Scentsy issue. That's a marriage thing that you guys probably need to talk through. Mm-hmm. Maybe talk to somebody, get some counseling. I don't think that you have to get counseling when you're at your worst. I think you can get counseling when you're doing pretty good. But your interest should be your husband's interest. Your wife's interest should be, and the husband's interest should be the wife's interest. You have to show some support in that, because honestly, just for yourself, if not, you're going to start to resent it. If my wife's doing something that I'm showing zero interest in, I'll start to resent it. Even if I fake interest in it, because of the conversation that comes out of that, I'll start to actually be interested in it. So if your husband shows zero interest,
I have something to say to that too.
Go ahead.
It's a little churchy. It's a little preachy. I'm not on camera, but whatever. I don't mean churchy or preachy. I just mean it's honest. If your husband shows zero interest in it, you need to probably check yourself too. A lot of times when we're invested in growing a business and really pushing ourselves forward, if you really look at where you're spending your time and where you're putting your energy and your attention, sometimes it is that you are not serving your spouse the way you should. And we've talked about this many times before, but there is no point in your business at any phase, any season, any hustle when your spouse should take any position underneath your business. This is just a business. It could be gone tomorrow. Not that I think it will be, but it could be. And your spouse is someone you've committed your life to. And so you have to make sure that as a wife building a business, I know you're putting time and energy into it. You need to check yourself sometimes. Where is your face at night? Is it in your phone, or are you looking in the eye? Are you affirming him and showing him respect, or are you so busy doing your thing and writing it off as I'm busy doing my thing that you're not giving him the attention he deserves? He is your spouse, he is your best friend, he is your partner, and he deserves your respect and your attention. And a lot of times your men are going to turn their heads and say, I have no interest in that at all, because it is pulling you away from them. Yep. And they are more important than anything you will ever do to make money. So that was all I had to say about that.
I'm glad you said it, because I didn't want to. But honestly, that's the thing though. I mean, guys,
I say that from a place of I did that. So don't think I'm saying that to you like, I'm just pointing fingers. I'm not saying that to you as pointing fingers. I'm saying that to you because I made those mistakes. I put babies to bed and worked all night, every night, and let him go to sleep without me. I neglected our time together. I neglected giving him the respect he deserved as my spiritual leader, as my spouse, as my partner. I didn't give him that. And so I say that from a place of I made that mistake, and you need to make sure that you're not making the same mistake. And if you are, fix it. Everything is fixable. Nothing is too far gone. Turn around and fix it.
Let's take maybe one or two more, and then we will let you guys go. I want to respect your time, and then I have another video to shoot after this.
There's no way that I can do the drawing live, but I will do it based on who was on live.
Okay.
So we can do it right after, but I can't keep track of the comments right now, so we'll do it right after.
Okay. So will we do it, will we post a comment to this video, or we'll just direct message them, or how will we do it?
I mean, we might draw it live. We might do a quick video whenever we get everything pulled. I have to write it all down.
Okay, we'll do a quick video after in online steps and announce, and then we'll shoot you guys a message, whoever it was that won. Okay, so another question.
Oh, maybe this is the same person who asked the first question. I'm not sure.
Ask it and we'll figure it out.
It is Taylor. She says it's not that he's not supportive. He just doesn't have any interest handing out business cards or catalogs or talking to people. He'll ask me how it's going and how do my events go and stuff, but that's kind of the extent of it. Did you talk a little bit about really setting some goals together as we're like having him hold you accountable in terms of
A
where
little
you're
bit.
going?
Yeah, a little bit. There's only so much time. So
Or just about asking
here's the
for
thing.
advice?
Well, and here's the thing on that. Here's what I'll say. So I don't know what he does. We can have, I mean, you can message us separately. We can kind of talk you through that. But there is a huge potential in this business for you to make life-changing money. And depending on where you're at in life, how old you are, how much money you're making now, that means a totally different thing. When we started this, life-changing money to us was $2,000 a month. If she could ever get to $2,000 a month, holy cow, that would pay our mortgage, it would pay our car payments. I mean, it would be incredible. And she's obviously far surpassed that. But when she finally hit that, I don't know, 2 or 3 years in, it was amazing. And so a lot of times it takes a conversation saying, honey, here's the thing. This business could be really big. It could be, honestly, direct sales, especially a company like Scentsy, has the potential to make you more money long term than possibly 95% of just regular, everyday, even maybe with your college degree jobs out there. Accountants, even something prestigious like lawyers and doctors and things like that. You can make more money doing this, especially a lot of the everyday, you know, city workers, teachers, God, what are some? Just police officers,
Okay.
sheriffs,
Can
lots
I-
of things. So just talking to your husband and saying, hey, honey, here's the deal. This is a business. It is going to take a while to get it going. But just like if you started a corner store, brick and mortar, it takes a while to get it going. But once it's going, you can make a lot of money. And I don't need you to sell product and hand out catalogs to everybody and do all that. But I really do need you to be supportive. And then I would love to have a sit-down business meeting with you, kind of like what I told the guys. You could do it too. I would love to have a sit-down business meeting with you and kind of tell you the things that I'm planning on doing this year. And maybe you could speak into what you think will be efficient and less efficient. Because the more your husband thinks you respect his opinion,
Absolutely.
then the more he's willing to maybe give his opinion and open up to having some input in your business. And all of that is ownership and building to ownership. And all of that is building to partnering in your business together.
Yeah.
That's another question.
Oh, that's all I have.
That's it? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll bring the better half on in. What are you doing? You're naming it. Okay. Guys, thanks for joining. We will shoot a video tonight. We'll make sure in the next 30 minutes or so we tally up all the names and we will draw live. So if you guys see that we log back in to do a live video, I am going to do a tips and tricks video right after this. And then after that, we'll do the drawing video.
Okay.
I won't let her in on the tips and tricks video. I'll just make her tally up all the names.
for sure.
And then we will draw live on TV. Thank you guys so much for coming. Just know this is a journey. It's constant. You're never at the end goal, and if you are, you're dead. So it's constantly evolving. We literally every year sit down at the beginning of the year and kind of redirect what our goals are, what our vision are that year for our family, for our marriage, for our business. It's constantly evolving, and that's the beautiful thing about it. Like, you're not stuck in one place. You're not stuck in a store. You're not stuck at a certain market or mall or any of those things. You can make it whatever you want to be, and you're always stronger together.
Yeah.
Just know you're stronger together in everything, not just your business, but in life. So do life together, do business together, and everything, it won't always be easy, but it'll be worth it.
Yeah. You don't have to be on the live video to win. I mean, if you commented live, if your spouse commented live, I know I can tell which ones were live and which ones weren't. So those will go into the drawing. You don't have to be on that live video to win. That's just when we'll announce it. We'll tag you. We'll shoot you a message and let you know.
She's talking about the second live video. You had to be on this one live.
Yes.
The second one we announced, you don't have to be on.
Also, I don't know if you said this. I just want to reiterate it. Even if you did say it, it's worth repeating. This is, Scentsy is not the goal. Scentsy is a vessel. It is a tool to help you be more effective in the vision of your life and the ways you want to give and serve and love people well, the way you want to serve your family, the way you want to serve this world and be a light. This is just a vessel. It cannot be your whole life. It can be a very important part of it, but it just needs to be a piece of it. And sometimes we get that mixed up. We get it backwards. And this is just a reminder that this is a piece of the puzzle. It is a tool to help you get someplace else, to do something great, to fulfill the dreams and the visions that you have in your heart. So thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you soon.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.